Now, this May sees the 75th anniversary of VE Day, and here on Breakfast we'll be exploring the stories of all sorts of people whose wartime contributions will never be forgotten.
Former Land Army girl Zeita was part of the 80,000-strong female force who kept the UK going while the men went off to war. Breakfast Graham Satchell has been to meet her.
Lord Watton pays his tribute to the grand work of the members of the Women's Land Army, now more than 50,000. And they're all on their toes.
Zeita is 94. She was just 17 when she joined the Land Girls.
The girls are a little more used to the comb.
I fancied something out in the open.
None of the women has had any previous experience of mechanical plant, but 96% of them passed the test with flying colours.
Oh, I did lots of tractor driving.
And did you look after the cows?
Oh yes, I like the cows.
Did you milk them?
Every morning at 4:30.
Ooh, that's early.
Very early.
Zeita spent much of the war here at the Luton Hoo estate. To this day, she remains proud of the work she did, the friends she made, the uniform she wore.
I think you look so glamorous there, Zeita.
You do?
Yes, you really do.
Well, I've seen a lot worse. Look at that waist. Could do with that now.
The Women's Land Army was critical to the war effort. Thousands of land girls worked on farms as more and more men joined the forces.
It was vital work, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
It takes more than a novice to prune an apple with a pair of pruning shears.
Do you think people understood that at the time?
Not enough of them.
Did you feel cross about that?
Not really. Me were my favourite girls.
It wasn't all hard work. There was a bit of time for being young, free and single.
That one I took home for tea.
You took him home for tea?
Yo-Ho, his name was. Joe Yo-Ho.
We may allow ourselves a brief period of rejoicing.
The end of the war in Europe, VE Day, it saw millions of people take to the streets. There were celebrations all over the country. On May the 8th, 1945, Zeita joined a parade in Luton. She ended up at the town hall.
That's where I was, yes.
And what bit did you climb?
It was this big bit.
The tower?
Yeah. Well, I had 2 or 3 glasses of wine. They were all spurring me on. Go on, Zeita, you can do it. Yeah, it was just something in the air, you know. The war's over.
Zeita made friends for life in the Land Army. Her photo collection shows reunion after reunion. On the 75th anniversary of VE Day in May, she will remember her friends no longer here.
It's the sort of thing you never forget. I think we did our bit.
She's got a few stories to tell, hasn't she?
Star of today's show. She wins everything today, doesn't she?
I think she does.
Yeah.
Let's speak to historian Cherish Watton, who met Zeita last year, is that right?
I did, yeah. She's a wonderful lady and has such spirit when she's recounting her time in the Land Army. She's wonderful.
And tell us a bit more about the Land Army, because I mean, how crucial a role did they play?
The Women's Land Army was absolutely critical to our war effort. At the beginning of the war, we were importing 70% of our food, but by the end of it, we were 70% self-sufficient. So the work of the land girls all over the country was so significant.
And these women, like Zeita, who we were just seeing there, they weren't exactly experienced in this work before they started it, were they?
No, I mean, a lot of the women who worked on the land had no experience at all in agriculture, and some, if they were lucky, would have training, but others were just put on a farm and told to get on with it, essentially.
And how many people would there have been who were sort of acting and doing the same sort of thing that Zeita was doing during the war?
So from the start of the Second World War through to November 1950, it was over 200,000 women, so a significant number who helped increase our food production.
And it marked a real change, didn't it? A cultural change for women at that point. It's like their lives changed and they would never go back to being the same again. And then, of course, you know, the men came home from the war and the women were used to kind of carrying everything, keeping everything going.
Yes, most definitely. I think especially in agriculture, women had worked on the land before, but this was the first time that there was really large-scale mobilisation of women with no experience. And there was concern about whether they were competent enough to carry out their work. There was obviously discrimination they faced from farmers and the sort of rural communities, but they really showed that they could carry out this work and in some cases do it better than men. So it really was something they were incredibly proud of in terms of their contribution.
Is it a contribution that we appreciate now but wasn't maybe quite so appreciated at the time, or were people well aware of how great a job they were doing?
I think there has been a delayed kind of recognition of the work that they carried out, and I think that's kind of largely part of a wider sort of delay in recognising women's war work more broadly.
You can imagine the Land Girl story, though, is something that will really resonate and appeal to the younger generation now, who may not know that much about it, but, you know, might listen to the stories that the Land Girls can tell. And how important is it that we do engage those younger people?
I mean, it's absolutely critical that young people know about the role that previous generations have carried out for us in the Second World War and First World War. Because if those memories and experiences are to pass on down the generations, then we need to be really inquisitive as young people, ask lots of questions to ensure that their work is not forgotten.
Which is why this huge anniversary of VE Day is going to be really fascinating to see. I mean, you know, we're very heavily involved on BBC Breakfast as well. We're asking people for their memories and stories. It's going to be a brilliant summer, really, isn't it?
It is. Lots to look forward to and to remember and commemorate.
Cherish, it is lovely to talk to you.
Thank
Thanks
you
very
for having
much
me on.
indeed.
Thank you.
And you can get in contact with us if you have any stories or memories or things you want to share. bbcbreakfast@bbc.co.uk is our email for all those sorts of things.
Looking forward to reading
Yeah,
those.
it'll be great.
It's just coming up to 8 o'clock now. Time to get the news, travel and weather where you are this morning.